Welcome back, everybody, to the RacePlazaMedia podcast, episode 23.
Ooh.
My name is Milan.
My name is Pia.
And I have been keeping count, and I think the count has been correct.
Okay, good for you. I have not been keeping count. Every time you say the number, I'm very surprised.
So it's 23 without counting the special episodes.
Okay, fair. I think that's fine.
Yeah. So because I went back on Spotify and I checked it.
Oh, I see.
And I made corrections because I did a little oopsie doopsie in there.
Oopsie doopsie.
Anyways, this weekend was the weekend of F1.
Yay.
Finally back from the summer break.
Yes.
And we're back with a doubleheader.
Yes.
Because next weekend we have the best track on the grid. The best track possibly in the world. The Italian GP. Monza. Yes. There are other tracks that I truly, truly love. But this is probably the track that I love the most on the F1 grid. There are other tracks that I love that are not part of the F1 circuit.
Okay.
But I just love Monza. I just have so much association with it from my childhood.
For me, Monza is special because I remember, quote unquote, driving on it in the very first F1 game that I've ever played.
Yes, exactly. 2002. That's
Yeah.
the game that we had.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I think we still have it. It's in the closet.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I remember playing that one. I remember specifically that track playing over and over and over again because it was, in a way, it's beginner
easy.
friendly. Yeah, exactly. And especially for me that I don't race very often or play racing games very often. So that one was easy. And I remember very specific corner sections very specifically. So I understand that has a very special place.
Yeah.
But this weekend they were in Zandvoort for the Dutch Grand Prix. And personally, Zandvoort is also a track which I would love to drive on.
Because of the banks?
Because of the banked corners. Because I think for me, it gives like this sense of like a roller coaster almost. Like I always say, it's
such a cool thing.
It is. I think it's such a fun idea. And it also, maybe it reminds me just a smidgen of also like a NASCAR track with like the ovals being like having the banked sides. What are you thinking?
What it reminds me of is, because I'm not that familiar with NASCAR, is it reminds me of, I think it is this testing track that Mercedes has in our hometown where they test, I think, new cars, and it has a huge bank corner like that.
Oh, interesting.
And I remember one time going there as a kid, not driving myself, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, this is so steep, that's scary.
Oh,
you
gotcha.
know?
Yes.
Like just standing there.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so Zandvoort is definitely one of the tracks that I would love to drive on myself.
And also, what a location.
I know, right by the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, the Netherlands is very flat.
Yeah.
So you can really see really, really far, especially once you have that aerial view from like the helicopters. But yeah, and also it seems just the vibe in Zandvoort is always good. It's always a party.
Especially if you like Dutch drivers.
Of course. And I mean, you have like the wall of orange, which now could be either Dutch fans and or Papaya, aka McLaren fans.
Yeah, I will say it's most likely Dutch
Oh,
fans.
of course. But I feel like there can definitely be
100%.
an overlap. But needless to say, let's get into the race. I mean, because we were so excited that F1 was back. We had the pleasure, of course, also watching it with friends that are new-ish to Formula One. But
they're second season.
But they're big fans now also, which is so it's really fun to share it with people also. So we're all super excited to watch it. And it was, it had ups and downs, this race. It had
very much a roller coaster.
It was
of a race.
very much of a roller coaster on track, and I mean, physically the track and also the race experience was a roller coaster.
Yes, because I think the first thing before even the race started was the whole thing is like, is it gonna rain?
Yes,
and
exactly.
I think all of us watching wanted rain because rain almost always equals chaos.
Yeah, and it just makes it more interesting. And also going into this race, we knew Zandvoort is just like many racetracks or just tracks nowadays are not ideal for the car. So there's not a lot of overtaking opportunities. At least that's what they always say going into it. So it's whether or not a question of like, once the grid is set at the beginning, is that what's going to be? Or maybe, of course, with the pit stops, that might change some things. But other than that, it will always be external factors that would maybe change the setup. Either weather, safety car, those kinds of things would make a race more interesting. We were going in hoping for some rain, like you said, expecting a safety car or two, just based on the weekend, the days prior to it, just because practice was crazy. We had Lewis spun out several times. We had Max get into gravel, Kimi getting into the gravel, Lance crashing out. We had
twice, I think he crashed a car.
I think so.
The
And then,
way they had to repair it up until like in the AM Saturdays.
yeah, I mean, because he had also crashed out in qualifying then again. So it's like it was a lot of action already prior to the race. So it was giving me some hope that this race will be a little bit more interesting.
And I think it's fair to give a spoiler that there was very little rain, but it didn't stop chaos from happening.
No, exactly. So for qualifying, I just want to say, of course, we had the battle of the McLarens, who will take the lead.
Yeah.
Lando was having an excellent weekend leading up to qualifying, so he was a little bit of favorite, but it was really marginal.
Yeah.
It was really just little tiny bits.
Yeah, it's just if you're able to put the lap together, right?
Exactly. And then, however, at the end, Oscar Piastri was able to take the first or pole position by, I think it was like 1200ths. So it's like tiny mark. I feel like I'm more aware of it this season, I think, just because the numbers are so close that it's like, it's less than a blink of an eye, you know? It's it's so
crazy.
minimal. Like we can't see it, you know?
Yeah.
And then when they do, like sometimes they do that ghost car overlap and you see just how like marginal it is. It's absolutely incredible. Like how, of course, if they all were in equal machinery, things might be different. But of course, they're all such excellent drivers. That's why it's so minimal, the differences. But then the other big winner for qualifying, big surprise was Isaac Hadjar. I mean, coming in fourth in qualifying, what a huge result. I mean, both Racing Bulls had a really good weekend. Or like qualifying, because Liam ended up coming in eighth, which was also great. So both Racing Bulls in the top 10, really excellent results. Both of them had really good pace this weekend as well.
Yeah, and it's also something I'm happy to see. I'm happy that they're both doing well, because I know that obviously after Liam came back to the team, he was a little bit
on the back foot.
On the back foot, because it's also like you're just got crushed.
Yeah.
You know, like your self-worth probably, or your confidence. So it was good to see him bounce back, and he's now had like several race weekends back to back where he's doing well.
Yeah.
So that both of them made it into Q3, fantastic.
Yes, 100%. I think the 2 or 3 disappointments maybe for qualifying were both of the Haases just didn't have any pace. Both of them went out in Q1. And then, of course, Lance Stroll, he finished 2 laps and he was already, because he had crashed out. So he never finished. He didn't even put official time on the board.
That's crazy.
So that was a little bit of a bummer.
And then I also say, like, I mean, this weekend itself, like, we'll get into that, but like also the Ferraris qualifying not top 5 is always a little. I mean, they made it into Q3 and stuff like this, but in the end, this is not. And they qualified close together, so you know it wasn't like one driver or the other, but it's just like this is not the aspiration for Ferrari. You know?
Oh, of course not. I was happy to see them in Q3 though, because they were struggling throughout qualifying already. So I was happy to see that they made it through, that they did come close together, which was really nice, of course, too. So, I mean, it is what it is. It's tough to be a Ferrari fan right now. And then
it has been for the last 15 years, I think.
Yes, it's been a struggle. But now, should we get into the actual race?
Yes.
Okay, actual race.
Do you want to let us know starting grid?
Sure, I'll talk through some of the starting grid. So you have Oscar Piastri, Norris, Verstappen, Hadjar, Russell, Leclerc, Hamilton, Lawson, Sainz, Alonso. So those were our top 10, which is...
Kimi was 11?
Kimi was 11th, yes. And then Tsunoda was right after him.
Okay.
So, so going into the race, so the start of the race, you have this right-hand turn. It's quite a long right-hand turn. I would say. Is it? I feel it felt long. You know. So going into it, it was a question of course. Well, the big thing was actually that Max Verstappen had softs on.
Yes, so it's something that he has been doing a lot, where he is aggressive in the opening laps and trying to get that overtake done and then try to defend that position, because he obviously knows that Zandvoort is not a track that is easily to overtake on. I'm pretty sure Lando said in his post-race interview, you have to be about 8/10 faster than the other person in order to make that overtake happen. And so first of all, which car is faster, 8/10 faster than the McLaren? Even if you are in a McLaren, you're not probably 8/10 faster than the other McLaren, you know?
Agreed.
So that was already, you know, the big thing. But I think it was Yuki as well that was on the softs.
Yeah, we had a couple
and then
people
I think
on the softs.
And then I think it was one more. I think it was 4 people total. Then the top 10 besides Max did all mediums. And then we had on the back marker, we had the 2 Haas's on a hard tire, which really ended up working out well for them. Really well.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, so race kicks off. And then fortunately, honestly, everyone was quite well behaved.
Yes.
No incidences of the start, but Max, of course, being hyper aggressive.
Yeah.
Oh, there was the Gabby incident, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Max has to be hyper aggressive, right? You have to make that position up. Him and Lando were battling, because it looked like Piastri great off the start. I think Lando might be not as fast, because that gave Max the opportunity to kind of step in. He tried to swing it around the outside going into that right-hander. Also makes sense because he's on the left side. He said there was a lot of like sand or dirt on the track, and he had this like huge twitch, right?
Yes.
That he ended up recovering from. What a recovery! Because if he would have crashed out, he would have probably taken several cars with him. Because there's no way to avoid it.
Yeah, no. Especially at the beginning where everybody's so incredibly close.
So what a save, what a recovery. And it's also always so insane when you look at the footage from the drivers, like you can see the car snaps, and then just muscle memory, I'm assuming, like they just snap the steering wheel into the other direction. And what also is always so impressive, and I think people sometimes forget or don't realize, is that you cannot do it like if you're watching this, you cannot hold the steering wheel and have your elbows out and then turn it and try to put so much force in it. Your elbows and everything is tied to your side, right? There's no space for you to like try. You have to do it all essentially in front of you.
Yeah, because it's arms and abs, because you can't use your the force from your full upper body, because there's no space for you to move it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is. I mean, incredibly. Yeah,
it's
tough.
very, very impressive. And so Max was able to get the overtake then done, and so he was ended up in P2, and Lando dropped down to P3. And then we also actually had then, I think Albon probably had the best start out of everyone. Didn't he jump like 11 positions?
I don't remember how many, but he had jumped a bunch of positions right at the start. We had Gabby had some issue at the start where he was falling back. He lost a bunch of positions. And then he also, I forgot who he touched, but there was some kind of contact with somebody, so he had damaged his front wing.
Yeah, because someone ended up coming in because of their tire, right?
Don't remember that, but I remember.
Sorry, I should have written it down, but there was so much that happened.
Yeah, it ended up being a lot more.
Because then there was a stretch of like 20 laps where nothing happened. We were all just waiting for the rain, because we had heard on the radio around in 7 laps time or around lap 7, the rain might start, and it will be there for a while.
Yeah, and we were waiting there, just waiting for the rain. And then also we were worried for the people on the soft tires, because I'm sure their strategy was to be on the softs until the rain comes, and then determine whether or not if they need to go into intermediates or if they'll stay on the slicks, but just a different compound. But it took longer and longer. And then there was just a couple of drops, I think around lap 12, 13. I think Oscar had said there was some drops on the visor.
Yeah.
And then it was raining more, but it was still a light rain.
It was, and it was like light enough where the heat of the cars on the racing line were drying that up right away. So there was no like real water on the track.
Yeah.
However, I do think on the painted areas,
Yes.
that is also then where we had the first incident, also from someone that is not someone who's very accident prone,
No.
especially unforced errors.
Yes.
As people like to call it. Lewis ended up crashing out. I think it was around lap 17.
I don't know. It doesn't show on my overview
They
right
don't.
now.
They unfortunately don't do it like they do it in MotoGP, where they tell you exactly which lap they crashed out.
Yes.
But yeah, he unfortunately crashed out. He was a little bit too far out on one of the banked left-hand corners. He got onto I think it's like a painted area.
I think so. Yeah.
And there's also, if you watch the replay, there's this little like almost like clip in the track, and you can see that his right side essentially is on the other side of it, and the left rear wheel doesn't even touch the ground anymore. He has I'm assuming no traction, no grip, and he's trying to save that little twitch, and then he unfortunately clips the barrier, and then the front right axle is completely destroyed. Very unusual incident from Lewis, even though he spun out a few times, but he was always able to recover from that.
Yeah, I mean, he never
was like a 360.
went into the gravel. Exactly. So, but I mean, him spinning out during practice is not, I would say, it's not common, but it does happen when he's testing the limits of the car. But he rarely goes as far as crashing the vehicle. So for him crashing this time is a huge surprise, because he's not one to make, like you said, unforced errors. For him to...
And to be honest, I'm like, whatever about it. Like, I'm just like, let it roll off your back, because I don't think this means anything. But I'm sure people will be like online, oh my God, Lewis.
Yeah.
But I don't think it means anything. I think the most unfortunate thing is that he unfortunately is getting a 5 grid penalty for next week's race, because he was not within the speed limit under a double yellow.
Yes.
That is probably the most unfortunate thing out of this. Of course, all the points that he might have been able to make for the team, because the Drivers' Championship, let's be real, is whatever for the drivers. If you're not first, it's a little bit irrelevant. Yeah, of course you want to beat your teammate, but other than that, but the points for the teams is very difficult, because right now there's still a race who's going to come second in the Constructors' Championship.
Yes.
And him crashing out is, of course, very, very hurtful for the team.
Yeah, because we would have assumed that both Ferraris would end in the top 10 and both of them make points.
Yes. Yeah, and I was also kind of hoping for the situation where the last time we had a rain race, Lewis was the first one to come to the pits, put on the intermediates, and then race, and he ended up finishing P3, and everyone ended up following suit to him, but he was essentially like, he ended up skipping a bunch of people, and I was kind of hoping for something like that, because I knew the overtakes or anything like that on track will be near impossible. He was hanging out behind George for the longest time. He was, also always within DRS, but if you don't have the 8/10 to pass, then it's just like, you're just hanging out
enough. Exactly.
Yeah.
So this was then a safety car, of course.
First safety car.
Oscar Piastri had to do a restart. Excellent restart for him right there.
Yeah.
And of course, the safety car also gave lots of people the opportunity to pit, including the McLarens did a double stack, and Lando accidentally bumped a little bit the front jack person, but that person was fine. So yeah, lots of people had the opportunity there to pit. Some people had just went into the pits. I think it was Alonso might have been one of those people, if I'm not mistaken.
I think Alonso, was it maybe also Colapinto?
Maybe. I don't remember exactly. But so it was just like, I mean, it's luck, really.
You don't know. I was a little surprised, but of course we didn't see it, because first of all, we didn't watch the race live. But I was surprised. I was like, everyone kept talking about the rain coming, and you guys are pitting now?
Yeah.
But it ended up being this thing where I guess they could see that the rain is not going to be enough for
intermediates. Yeah. So they never ended up going on to the intermediates. There was still more rumors that more light rain would come. But I mean, they usually wait a long time before they go onto the inters anyways, because it does make that much of a time difference. The two people who definitely didn't go into the pits at that point were the two Haas's.
Yep, the Haas's.
I mean, a big risk. It was a long time on the hards, but they were just going to take the risk because, I mean, they both started at the bottom.
Yeah.
Ollie Behrman started from the pits even, so they had nothing to lose essentially. Yeah. So they ended up staying out, which was interesting. The next big thing was Mr. Rambo.
Oh, I thought it was Liam.
I don't remember in which order it happened. So it could have been that.
The only reason why I thought it is because we got the penalty for Carlos, but we never. But then we were all like, "Oh, you can't make that decision."
Yeah, but I think it happened afterwards because that penalty announcement came so fast, and they were still reviewing the Charles incident.
Okay, so yes. Essentially, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, it doesn't matter. So basically, we had a battle between Charles Leclerc, Ferrari, versus George Russell, Mercedes. They were close into DRS. Hamilton was already out, of course. But they were battling each other. Like you said, it's really tough to overtake in that situation. Charles was getting a little bit desperate. And as he does when he gets a little bit desperate, he just really wants to do the overtake. He forced himself on the inside of George, but he was never on the track. He was going through the inside of the chicane. All 4 tires were off the track from the view that I remember seeing. He ended up passing George, but he also ended up touching George. So George, or his car, and George ended up getting damage to his car. Like there was, he didn't have to go into the pits because of it, but there was parts of the side of his floor missing. You could see it fly off, literally.
Yeah, because it hit a different car, right? And
some different cars ended up driving into it. So Charles, very aggressive.
Yeah. And so I have it pulled up actually. Then the racing stewards were like, well, we cannot make a decision on this. We have to do it afterwards. And every time they do this in an incident that I also think is so egregious as this is it always seems like because the FIA, the whole thing is like, we only look at the incident, we don't look at the outcome.
Yes.
But it's like, then why are you waiting until the end? Because this is not something that is like difficult to decide. You have multiple camera angles. And so in the end, both drivers were summoned to the steward's office, and both drivers said they felt that it was a racing incident and there should be no further consequences to either driver for the incident. We reviewed all the available evidence and arrived at the same conclusion. Here's the thing, and people were saying this online, is because in the post-race interview you can also see how deflated George was. And I think if George would have actually cared about this, because at the end he was like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Right? And it was then also because we know what happens to Charles.
Yes.
It's like then, so because the drivers don't care in that point anymore, the stewards, the decision is like, I guess then it doesn't matter.
See,
so
I don't think that's right.
And then it goes back to like, of course, now you cannot tell me that you're not looking at the outcome anymore, because people are like, I was reading online, they're saying like, if George would have went in there and would have been like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, this was my corner, blah, 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 blah. And I'm not even saying like, you cannot race him through this corner. I'm saying like, if I don't even know like how you would have made that corner a little bit without George, kind of saving you, because he would have went way further out, and I don't know. I think it's ridiculous. This is the second time actually Charles gets away with this. In Silverstone, he did the same thing to Carlos, and Carlos had to take avoiding action. And I think there was one time where they actually clipped each other, but there was so much chaos going on in the
Silverstone race.
In the Silverstone race that I think one of them we didn't even see. So it's just a little bit ridiculous how the FIA decides to say that this is not an issue, but then giving Carlos a 10-second penalty for something that is a lot less egregious.
That happened like just a couple laps later. That's the second incident that we wanted to talk about. It was him.
I think it's the same corner. Because it's that chicane, the right, left.
I mean, it wasn't the exact same turn, but it might have been in that same area. Because it looked different from what I remember. But essentially, Carlos in the Williams was battling Liam Lawson in the Racing Bulls. I'm trying to remember exactly the movement of this.
So it was essentially, a right-hander that goes into the left. And Carlos was on the outside. Or Carlos first on the inside, then cuts to the outside. Because Liam does the defensive move. And then, however, Liam is ahead. And so this is This is according to how they're ruling it. Is if you're ahead on the apex, the corner is yours.
And it's not a new rule. It's been the rule.
Yes, and people always argue about this one. It's like it shouldn't be like this because then you have this situations where you have this gray area where someone will just send it to be ahead in the apex, you know. So like we've had this multiple times with like Max. This was his MO for a long time, you know, and people are saying, well, he's not ahead, but he's a little bit there, so he should be entitled to that space. And because so Carlos ended up clipping Liam's left rear tire. Liam ended up getting a puncture, and Carlos had to get his front wing replaced.
Yeah, so both had to go into the pits.
And it essentially ruined their race.
Yeah, both lost several positions because both of them, I think, at that point were still in the top 10.
Yeah, they were in the points.
So really upsetting. Both drivers were also still so upset after the race.
Well, it seemed like Liam was more like, listen... because I think like Carlos was also because he was already very angry on the radio that this is the most ridiculous thing.
He's like, when he got the penalty over the radio, he's like, who? Me? What? It seemed so like...
He was so angry and frustrated. And like a part of me agrees with this because it's like, well, you're there, right? But Liam also knows because he has multiple times gotten a penalty for the same exact thing. And he also said this in his post-race interview, like, I've gotten this before.
Yeah.
And he didn't say this per se, but it sounded like, I don't necessarily agree with it, but this is what it is. Like, you get a penalty because I was ahead.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what the rule is. And Carlos was so angry, towards Liam, which seemed insane to me.
Yeah, it seemed a little bit out of place because I was like, I mean, clearly at that point he had just gotten out of the car because they get out of the car, they do their interviews. Yeah. They haven't seen the footage. Yeah. They haven't been able to talk about it really. So I'm hoping once he sees the footage that he has a little bit more of like, oh, maybe I wasn't quite there where I thought I was, you know?
Yes, or maybe this thing, it's like, well, Liam is just technically not doing the wrong thing, right? And if you have to be angry at someone, it would be the FIA because Liam... the way the rules are, whether or not you agree with it or not, and the way the FIA is ruling on this, and maybe this is, you know, it's, you know, we're 5 years late or something like this, but like let's maybe reassess the rules to this again, because I'm pretty sure like in the WEC and the ELMS and stuff like that, they don't rule it like that. It's not a thing like, oh, just get to the apex first and then it's your corner.
Yeah.
I'm actually pretty sure a lot of championships don't rule it like this. This is just in F1 they're doing it like this at the moment, but it's like you're giving Carlos a 10-second penalty for that, but you're not giving Charles anything for that.
It's a little bit, that's frustrating.
And I always think it's super suspicious when they're like we're gonna review it afterwards. And
it's also like you don't need the driver's inputs. Like, no, I mean, at this point, because you have all these different angles of the camera, so it doesn't matter what the driver has to say. I think
and it's not even the angles. You also have access to the data, right? You can see where they're driving the car, how much were they accelerating on the brakes,
where
how
they're
much
braking,
steering angle,
exactly,
all this stuff. So I mean, of course, sometimes they might want it because they want someone to explain their actions, but like that he didn't get a penalty for this. But Alonso got a penalty for not even touching George in Australia
last year.
2 years ago?
Was it 2 years ago?
Or last year? It doesn't matter.
I think it was last year, but yeah.
But that's absolutely mental.
Yes.
This is, again, goes into that the FIA is so inconsistent and it's fucking annoying, dude.
Yeah, it's super, super annoying. But then several laps later, we going into the next like pit stop era of the race. Charles goes in for another pit stop. He has some time a little bit behind him, so he would go in. He would lose position. I think it was to George again, and then there was it was him battling Kimi Antonelli.
Yeah, he came out ahead of Kimi.
He ended up coming out ahead of Kimi, which was the goal, of course, that they wanted. He came out just before him. They go into the first bank corner. That's the corner also where Lewis Hamilton had crashed out several laps earlier. The line is high up into the corner. However, Charles's tires weren't up to temperature yet. So he goes high. So he probably, I'm assuming his pace was a little bit slower at that point. Kimi Antonelli behind him. His tires are up to temperature. He comes in. He goes in through underneath Charles, but then at the end, he goes up towards the main racing line again, and that's when Kimi and Charles crash into each other.
Yes, so Kimi essentially clipped Charles's left rear tire because it looks odd, but also like DC said it in when he was commentating that Charles was on a racing line at all times. He wasn't doing anything wrong. It was Kimi who's a little overly ambitious.
Yes.
And him like drifting up essentially into the racing line, which might feel natural to you when you're doing that, ended up causing quite a big crash because like Charles lost the whole front nose came off, the whole front wing with the nose, everything came off.
You even saw cables hanging out in the front.
Everything was out. Fortunately, the car that came around, it was Liam that came quick.
No, it was Lance Stroll that came after.
Like they were all able to avoid him. And then fortunately, Charles was able to spin the car, do like a 180 and then put it right off the track.
Yes, exactly.
So it still ended up in a safety car, but at least he was able to like remove himself from that. Also probably way safer for him, but also for everyone coming around the corner, because it is such a tight corner that you might not, or narrow corner that you might not see him until it's maybe too late.
No, 100%. It was definitely a dangerous corner to leave the car. So it's good that he was able to get it out of the way. Unfortunately, that meant he was stranded kind of for the remainder of the race, from what it seemed like in that kind of middle area, since he wasn't able
because he ended up doing a whole photo shoot.
Oh my gosh, it was like this big sad boy moment, him on the top of this little grass hill sitting up there, his hands in his, which I get, like you're frustrated, it's like you've already been battling this race, but then there's all these photographers taking pictures, and then
it's also,
sorry. Go for it. No, you say it.
Charles then is on his phone, and he puts on his watch, which we both know he didn't have in the car.
I'm assuming
that's extra
not.
weight that he doesn't want, right? That's slower times. But it's also so someone was able to get that to you.
Yes.
So you could have left. So it honestly felt a little bit like he was like, okay, I'm going to take this opportunity to do a photo shoot.
Yes.
Because later on, we had a similar incident with a different driver.
Yeah.
And this person ended up just walking back.
Yes. Granted, it was a little bit a different area of the
track. I know,
track.
but it's still that you were able to get your phone and your watch.
Yes.
That is where I'm like, okay, then there was an opportunity to get away from this.
No, I agree. It was a little, dare I say, cringe.
It felt a little weird.
It was a little too much.
Yeah.
We've had many moments in F1 history where drivers couldn't make it back to the pit lane because of where they ended up being stranded. We have this famous moment of Alonso overtaking then a camera and playing cameraman.
But was it because he couldn't get away, or he was just like, well, I'm not doing anything?
No, I think he was stranded officially. Okay. And then there was this moment you were talking about yesterday.
But he wasn't stranded. But the famous Kimi Räikkönen thing when he crashes in Monaco and then just gets out of the car and walks to his yacht and sits down in the pool. Or like jacuzzi in the yacht, and there's literally shots of him just with the sunglasses on and just like, because he's like, I'm good shit. Yeah. It's a hobby to him, you know?
What an icon.
Yeah, what an icon.
But so big upset. Both Ferraris out all of a sudden.
Devastating for my fantasy.
Oh.
Absolutely devastating.
So big upset, of course, that both of them were out.
Bigger crush for the constructors, but
yes,
I lost 3 positions in the fantasy league apparently.
Oh, that sucks.
I don't know. I haven't looked at it because I'm still rocking the same team. But
and then
anyways,
I think the last loser of the race that we need to talk about, which was one of the more heartbreaking.
This is the most heartbreaking.
Yeah, because I think Charles felt like karma.
in a way.
A little bit. Lewis was just shocking.
Yeah.
Obviously it hurts also just because I want him to do better in the Ferrari, or I want him to have successes with the Ferrari. But then because it's also this one cost this driver the most so far is Lando Norris.
Yes, it's almost, we had a similar thing actually in F1 Academy, and we'll get into that.
Yeah. So with I think it was 8 laps to go at that point, 6 to 8 laps to go. Suddenly Lando, we hear him over the radio, there's smoke in my cockpit, something smells funny. And then suddenly you could see it actually coming out of the car. You see this smoke coming. He pulls over, gets out of the car. He says that it sounds like an oil leak or something.
Yeah, because he also said he smelled something.
Yeah.
And then with oil leak, you have to be really, really careful because you also don't want to be driving
catching on fire. Exactly. So, and then, such...
And it was absolutely devastating because Lando did everything right. Yeah, I mean, he lost the position P2 to Max, but then he ended up overtaking him and then getting back P2. He then very securely drove in P2. No mistakes.
No.
McLaren actually did 2 double stacks.
Which were both stops in the safety car, so they had a little bit of a buffer.
Yeah,
which
so
was
you don't
nice.
really lose anything.
But he was always very close to Piastri for the most part. He was close to DRS, not close enough quite yet.
I think he was probably staying also out of dirty air because...
Well, he did say dirty air was like from 4 seconds on, so he was in dirty air for a lot of it. But he also just said there was not quite enough pace because they were so close.
I mean, if you're saying how much was the
1200s for qualifying.
for qualifying. So how are you going to eat unless Piastri makes a mistake?
Exactly.
You're like the overtaking will be impossible.
Or a restart, which we did have 2 restarts that Lando experienced, and then the last one was because he went out.
Correct.
You know, so that was the other opportunity for him. But Oscar's typically pretty good with a restart. I mean,
he did an excellent job, especially on the second one. I mean, it did help that while Max was behind him on soft tires, the soft tires were at that point already 12 laps
on
old.
the third one. Yeah,
on the third restart. So he immediately pulled away because I was like, if anyone can do something, it would be then. And on the soft tire compared to Piastri being on hard tire was a big difference. But the soft tire was already pretty used up.
Yeah, it was like 10 laps into it, I think, on the soft tire.
Yeah, it's like 10 or 12 laps to on the soft tire. So it was like you're not gonna be able to pass a car that's already so much faster.
No, exactly. And then also, so going into this race, there was a 9-point difference between Lando and Piastri. And of course, Lando wants to gain as many points as possible on Oscar to have a chance to take that driver championship. But now, unfortunately, because Oscar ended up winning the race, Lando ended up DNFing. Lando is now 34 points behind.
Which with 9
Oscar.
races to go is technically it's nothing. Like
it's not over yet.
If he wins every race from here on out, he wins the championship. But I don't think Oscar would necessarily agree with that.
Yeah.
I think this is, of course, really devastating for Lando because this is the second time he drops all points. The first time around, it was himself.
Yes.
Unfortunately, making a mistake.
That was in Canada.
But he crawled his way back into within 9 points of Piastri. And then something like this is always devastating because in the end, it could have been either, right? A car breaking down is already pretty unusual.
Well, they also said because next round in Monza is usually the time where they change the engine. So it was maybe just like, I mean, maybe 2 more laps and it would have happened to Oscar. Who knows? You know, nobody knows.
Yeah.
But it's just really frustrating. But the big winner because of this.
Driver of the day, of the weekend.
Oh my gosh, so exciting. Rookie Isaac Hadjar ended up winning from Lando losing the podium position. Isaac Hadjar, who was in 4th place the entire race.
Fantastic race
For him that he was able to hold on to 4th place and then at the end capitalizing and then getting his very first F1 podium in his rookie year. How incredible.
First of all, fantastic. The second rookie that we have on the podium this year, right? Absolutely. And also, let's be real, coming from a team that is not a team that usually partakes in podium ceremonies, I think Kimi making it P3 is less surprising. Of course, it's still a huge achievement, right? Any podium.
Yeah.
But doing it in a Mercedes compared to doing it in the Racing Bulls cars is very much different. And also, if you think about what a chaotic race it was, it meant that Isaac did everything right. He had Ferrari behind him. He had Russell for a long time within DRS of himself, and he kept his cool.
Yes.
He was able to defend his position. And then also really big shout out to his race strategist because you also did everything right because you could have fumbled the ball and did a wrong call. And let's be honest, this has happened many times in Racing Bulls. That they fucked it up. Like last year,
this was the first podium now for the Racing Bulls as a team since I think it was either 2019 or 2020. No, I think it's 2019, which is a really long time.
That is a long time. Was that Gasly? No, was it?
I don't remember right now. I just remember reading that it's been an incredible long time. I mean, especially remembering the first race of the season, Isaac Hadjar not even being able to compete because he crashed out during the warm-up lap. And then there's these incredible, sad, heartbreaking pictures of him, of course, crying. Then, of course, Lewis's dad consoling him, you know. So
that one was just so devastating.
I mean, because it's just, it gives you an idea, of course, how much this means to them, you know. And then he goes from that in the opening race to now being on the podium in his first F1 season. And of course, he said it was always his goal to be on an F1 podium, but he didn't think it would happen quite this soon.
I don't think any of us did.
Yes.
It was in Scuderia Toro Rosso Honda. It was 2019. It was Pierre Gasly.
Okay, that makes sense.
He came second, yeah.
Yeah. I do want to point out...
Sorry, can we talk about real quick? 2019, it was Scuderia Toro Rosso Honda. Then it was, what is it, Tauri? What was it, Tauri whatever? Then it was V-Carb, and now it's racing. It's like, dude, make up your mind with your fucking name, dude.
It's ridiculous. But I do want to point out two other winners of the race for me. Of course, we have Alex Albon in 5th.
Yeah, what a fantastic race for him.
Yeah, incredible.
He was over the moon. His post-race interview, just watch it just for the vibes.
Yeah.
He's literal sunshine in that.
Yeah, because, I mean, he started in 15th. He ended up coming in 5th. Incredible result for the Williams. Then also, I want to point out, both of the Haases ended up in the points. Ocon came in 10th, and he had started... let me double check for you. Ocon had started in 18th. Then Ollie Behrman, who had started in the pits, ended up coming in 6th. And he was also, his post-race interview, he was like...
He was also literal sunshine.
Like, he couldn't stop smiling.
He was literally beaming positive energy from him. Like, whatever that means.
It makes me so happy for him. I mean, what an incredible race. Also, great calls from the team because they stayed on the hard tire for a really, really long time and it made up a bunch of positions. Because I think they didn't pit really until the second safety car. And I mean... What a result for them.
Yes. And I also want to say I'm really happy that Yuki made it into the points.
Yes. Yuki came in 9th, which is nice.
Yuki is really exciting. And Lance, lucky bastard. Honestly,
also incredible.
Incredible. Like, from having like a terrible start into the weekend and then making it into the points. I think
he came in 7th and then Alonso came in 8th, which I know Alonso was a little bit frustrated at moments throughout the race because they didn't make the correct calls. But for them, both of them to end in... I mean, it was expected for Aston because they had really good pace this weekend. But then throughout the race, it didn't quite look like it until the very end, which is really exciting.
So honestly, that there were the double points for Aston. I think this is actually really will be an interesting effect on the Constructors' Championship. Do you have it pulled up?
Yeah.
So you can tell us in just a second.
Exactly.
But overall, it was a interesting race. There were, however, like... Because it was 70 laps.
72 laps.
There was definitely like 30 laps and there were like nothing happened.
Yeah, it was after Lewis's crash. There was a little bit of a lull.
Because I think I was complaining while we were watching it's because you had a crash and then you had a safety car, but literally I think the top 10 didn't change.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, okay, so we got what we wanted. Not that Lewis crashing is what I wanted, but we got a safety car, right? Or we got something happening, which we didn't get rain, so we got that.
Yeah, and well, the rain we got was not really affecting the race.
Yeah, exactly.
Or, it did affect Lewis's race, but...
I should have been more specific when I asked for rain next time.
But so overall, the driver standings, Piastri is leading, of course, with 309 points. Then Norris is in second with 275, and Max Verstappen is third with 205. So I mean, it's still a fight between Norris and Piastri, so we will see how things pan out. Of course, McLaren overall is running away with
they have like double
manufacturers. Yeah, they have 584. And then in second place, currently still, do you want to guess?
Is it Ferrari?
Yes, Ferrari with 260.
But it does also happen that it did help a lot that Kimi got a 15-second penalty. So he got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lanes, I think, and then 10-second for the crash with Charles. So that meant that he dropped out of the points.
Yeah.
Which that helped Ferrari tremendously.
Yes, no, of course. And then Mercedes is second with 248, and the Racing Bulls is 248.
For Mercedes is third?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
yeah, so it's 12 points difference.
Okay, very good.
And then Red Bull Racing is third with 214.
Okay.
At the moment.
Oh, and then I forgot that Kimi also had that stretch where he had like 3 races where he DNF'd. Not his fault. So yeah, that's obviously a lot of points that you're missing.
Yeah.
Also, something that repeated itself this weekend is that both times someone's trophy broke.
Say what?
Someone's trophy broke. So last year, Lando broke, I think it was Verstappen's trophy.
Oh, yes.
Even though he won the race, which is so rude. And then this year,
it was an accident because I think Lando had smashed. He always does it.
Yeah.
But it was just a.
But the trophy was, and it's because it's porcelain, it's so fragile.
Yeah.
And then Isaac put his trophy on the ground.
Literally just putting it on the ground.
And it was concrete and was a little, maybe, it didn't even look like he was smashing it.
No, I think it was also because he was holding it by the neck, essentially, and the neck was not very thick.
It's for how thick the top is.
Yeah.
And then it immediately broke.
Yeah.
So his face was
hilarious.
So funny.
But so I think it was like we said, it was a roller coaster of a weekend. Next weekend we have the Italy Grand Prix, so they'll be heading to Monza, and then we have a week off before they head to Baku.
Okay.
Yes.
Baku actually one of the street races I
enjoy Baku.
Yes. That I am like, okay, I'm not mad about. If we have to have a street race, let's be at Baku.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alrighty.
So that would wrap it up for F1. And now we're gonna move on.